This is the pre-lab video for the experiment mole ratios, copper and silver nitrate. The reaction of copper wire with silver nitrate in aqueous solution provides an interesting display of chemistry in action. Delicate silver crystals begin to grow on the wire surface, and the color of copper 2 ions gradually appears in solution. You'll be discovering what relationships govern the relative quantities of reactants and products in this chemical reaction. The purpose of this experiment is to determine the number of moles of reactants and products in the reaction of copper and silver nitrate and calculate their mole ratio. The mole ratio relating the disappearance of copper and the formation of silver metal will be used to write the balanced chemical equation for the reaction. A note about safety. Silver nitrate is a corrosive solid and is toxic by ingestion. It will stain skin and clothes. So avoid contact of chemicals with your skin and wear chemical safety goggles. When you're finished with the lab, make sure you wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water before leaving the room. This experiment is going to be divided into 3 days. The first day will be the reaction prep. You start with obtaining a piece of copper wire, coil it loosely around a pencil, and then find the initial mass of the copper wire and record it in your data table. Use a wooden splint to suspend the copper wire into a 50 milliliter beaker as shown here. You want to stretch the wire down so that the wire is completely towards the bottom but not touching the bottom of the beaker, similar to the ornaments that were made with the borax at Christmas time. Remove the copper wire from the beaker and then bring your beaker up to your teacher. Your teacher will then weigh out approximately 1.5 grams of silver nitrate. They'll tell you exactly how much is in the beaker. Make sure you record that amount in your data table. Carefully walk your beaker back to your lab bench and then add water to make a solution. Fill the beaker to the 30 milliliter mark with distilled water and stir the solution with the stir rod until all the solid silver nitrate has dissolved. Rinse the stir rod with distilled water and then start the reaction by placing your copper wire on the wooden splint into the beaker as shown here. As the reaction proceeds, take some time to get ready for the second part of the lab, which will be for day 2, by labeling your 150 milliliter beaker with your name or initials and your class period, and then weigh your empty 150 milliliter beaker on the balance, and record this in your data table. Record any observations that you may be able to make to see what types of things are happening in the reaction at this point, and then carefully transfer your beaker with the silver nitrate and copper to your drawer. It's going to sit there overnight and continue to react. The second day of the experiment, what you'll do is you'll take your beaker with your copper solution and your silver out of your drawer, carefully remove the copper wire and put it into your 150 milliliter beaker, and then rinse the silver that has formed into your 150 milliliter beaker. It's going to look rather cloudy afterwards, like this. Use about 10 to 15 milliliters of distilled water to do this, and then carefully decant, that means carefully pour, this top layer of liquid into the sink so that all you have left is silver metal in the bottom of your 150 milliliter beaker. Your silver product will then be dried overnight in an oven in the back storage room. You can then find the mass of the unreacted copper. Use acetone to help dry off the copper, there will be a beaker provided by your teacher, and then paper towel to dab it dry. Then we weigh and record the mass of the unreacted copper and dispose of the copper as directed by your teacher. The third and final day of this experiment, what you'll do is you'll take the beaker that's been in the oven overnight and your solid, which will be in there, that should be dry, that's your solid silver, and measure and record the final mass of the beaker plus the silver solid. Then dispose of the silver solid into the beaker that is provided by your teacher for waste. That's it. That's our 3-day experiment of making silver. Follow the post-lab analysis as directed by your teacher. Enjoy!